Israeli forces have now pushed well beyond the Litani River in Lebanon, and that is beyond the original stated objective of clearing Hezbollah fighters from that area. Why?
Oh, g'day, Gemma. Look, this is a very complex terrain, we call it. It's hilly with significant areas that overlook those settlements in northern Israel. I think the Israelis are aware that modern rockets and missiles can range longer and deeper into Israel than perhaps in the past. But they have been across the Litani River and north into Lebanon before. For us Lebanon watchers, as you said, I served as a peacekeeper there. I have great affection for the people and the country in South Lebanon. It's really great sadness that we watch this. It's like the tide coming in and out of Israeli forces that penetrate into Israel, destroy homes and infrastructure, seeking to achieve security for their people, but withdraw. And sadly, what's left behind is more alienated and potential people who will rise up against Israel into the future. So, Israel is seeking to protect those northern Israeli settlements, but eventually they will withdraw and the cycle will begin again.
Now, Donald Trump has spoken to Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He also spoke indirectly with Hezbollah. Says they've agreed to dial back fighting. He said on Truth Social that any troops on their way to Beirut have already been turned back. Now, we know he can be a little loose with the wording there, but what did you make of what he had to say there?
On one level, Netanyahu desperately needs the US top cover for their war against Iran. Iran remains the existential threat to Israel, and Israel will achieve far greater suppression of Iranian military capability as long as America stays engaged. But I think to hear that the United States administration is talking to Hezbollah is really quite extraordinary. I mean, it is listed as a terror group. It is a proxy military for Iran. But I think what it shows is just how desperate Mr. Trump is for an off-ramp. He wants this war to end. He wants some sort of victory narrative. And having the Israeli forces and Netanyahu pushing all out back towards the Beirut and points north is not playing into that narrative. Now, how long those two, the Prime Minister and the President, remain aligned remains to be seen.
Mm. And I mean, if troops were on their way there, that would be a major escalation, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, launching conventional forces, that's tanks and artillery, back into those streets and the narrow valleys in South Lebanon, those are major military incursions. They take significant planning and logistic build-up. For the Israelis to have launched back into that country was clearly a significant development for them. We've seen imagery of them reoccupying the Beaufort Castle. I used to look out from my UN outpost toward the Beaufort Castle every day. These are significant features that look down on northern Israel. So Netanyahu won't like being told to stop. And I think it will be very interesting to see how each of the two leaders define their limits, the limit that the Israelis decide to contain themselves to versus Mr. Trump's view that they might have stopped immediately. I suspect the Israelis will push the edge of that, push the boundaries of that as far as they can go. And unfortunately, the Lebanese government, the Lebanese army are ineffectual and unable to have any influence on this campaign.
And Gus, you mentioned the human aspect of this just a moment ago, but we know people have been fleeing Beirut. We've seen the footage of that. As we said, you've operated as a peacekeeper there. What goes through your mind when you see footage like that?
Look, it's terribly traumatic. I have spoken to families that have been literally standing beside the road with a couple of suitcases that have been forced to evacuate their homes by Israeli troops when I was a peacekeeper. Most of these people are not involved in the war in any way and have no major political affiliation. Now, there is no doubt that Hezbollah has a very strong hold on the suburbs in the south of Beirut. That Hezbollah largely operates as a government within a government. They will be concealing the leaders of Hezbollah amongst the population there. But the vast majority of people who are fleeing north are families that are going to go north. Some of them will have the opportunity to stay with family, but the vast majority will end up sleeping in school halls or in, some of them even beside the road. So this is yet yet another movement of people who are uninvolved in this conflict. They didn't start the war on October 7, and of course they've had no involvement in the war in Iran. So it is a tragedy watching this sort of endless flow of troops in and refugees out that seems to go on in South Lebanon.
And with what they are fleeing, I mean, how vulnerable is the capital, Beirut?
Well, in the first part, the reason they're fleeing the south is the Israelis are quite ruthless in their targeting, and so we've seen whole villages razed to the ground, and these are villages that the Israelis don't want to provide as a base of concealment for future Hezbollah operations. Once they get into Beirut proper, again, the Israelis have shown the willingness to bomb individual buildings where they have intelligence that Hezbollah might be operating or Hezbollah leaders might be operating. But I think the vast majority of the northern suburbs of Beirut will be largely safe, albeit the infrastructure and the refugee centres, etc. These are not well resourced. This is a country that is on the bones of its existence just in peacetime situation. You'll recall the huge explosion there in the grain distribution facility a couple of years ago. This is a country that has not recovered. Its economy has not recovered. So there is not exactly a welcome mat out in the north of the country waiting for these people in the south. Those people in the north are struggling almost as much.